it's me again. 2 minutes later. I don't even think it's 2 minutes. Okay. I had to cool off. I had to put my hair back. What do you need? Don't mess with my camera. Stop me again. What do you might get a cat in a minute here, and because he's there. Anyway, so this is the continuation from the first part. This is about the drugs and alcohol. Now, so what I've established so far, I shouldn't say established, but I'm working on, is that alcohol is the emotionalizer, which I think a lot of people kind of already knew. It's actually, I just want to share this. I don't know if I've said this already in a video. Forgive me if I have, but you know how you can focus on something? For example, there's this bottle, right? And I can focus on just that bottle, or I can even focus just on that teeny little letter on that bottle. Teeny tiny little letter. And the reason I can do this is because the functional side. The functional side is our focus side. And it enables us to focus, it enables us to be selfish with our looking. I'm selfishly looking at that A because that's what my brain needs to do right now, is look at that A. Selfish, meaning I'm just looking at that A. There's all kinds of other things to look at, but I'm just going to focus on that one A. I know it kind of sounds weird to say it like I'm being selfish, focusing on it, but saying it that way helps you to kind of also understand being selfish, or the brain having the ability to be selfish or selfless, is not necessarily a bad thing. It's a good thing, actually. It's when you're over selfish or over selfless that it becomes kind of an issue. Otherwise, it's a normal process in the brain. It's okay. So, where was I? Yeah. So, the ability to be able to focus, that's the functional side. And when we drink alcohol, we start losing our ability to function correctly, right? We're like all over the place. So, have you ever had a time where you've drank so much that your eyes like can't keep anything in focus? It's like you're spinning, your head's spinning around type idea. That is where you have lost so much of your functional abilities that the focus has lost its ability to keep focus. Do you see that correlation? Isn't that crazy? And what's neat about that is actually, because a lot of my theory is essentially believing is seeing. Believing is seeing. Meaning, you gotta use your imagination to see it, because that I know of, there's no physical proof of it. You couldn't do brain scans and see people being emotional and functional that I know of. So that is a little bit towards the side of something maybe physical to prove. We'll see. I don't know. I'm working on that with other things too, like agoraphobia, vertigo. What was that the other day? Those are just little thoughts. Anyway, so so alcohol is an emotionalizer because it definitely makes the emotional side stronger. What was it? Not just the I love you, man, la 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 kind of feeling, but like I said, you lose the ability to focus, which means anything that's one that becomes the other, it's the opposite, right? So if you can't focus, then it's the opposite. Get it? Got it, good. So, weed, it seems like, is a functionalizer, as well as like things like speed, cocaine, those kind of things. They seem to be functionalizers as well. Now, I say that because for as much as you're like, well, they're kind of like opposite type drugs. But remember, when it comes to the functional side, it's not just about what you need. It's also about what you don't need. They can work forwards and backwards. So, speed, cocaine, things like that are more like need. More focus, strong. A lot of people, when they're on those kind of things, they talk about how, they can kind of focus better. It's kind of like an Adderall, only one by one friend described it. It's like on steroids, though, by 100 times. So, So it increases that ability to focus and move, do, That's all functional. Those are all functional things. Moving and doing, that's functional. I know that sounds crazy because it's like, what do you mean? The functional side also handles our actions? Yes. Our moving and doing? Yes, yes, it does. I have more to say on that, but another time. Anyway, so what's the other one? And weed is a don't need side of the functional. It's a detaching. It's a slowing down type thing. It's funny. I'm so sorry. But you know that song, I was going to do such and such, but then I got high. And then I was going to do this other thing, but then I got high. And then there was this other thing I was going to do, but then I got high. And it was all because I got high. Sorry, that's so horrible. Sorry. It's not the song, it's me using the example and then saying it over and over again. I couldn't help myself. My brain just had to kind of sing along with it. Anyway. I feel like I need to pause the moment because the movie. I need to pause this video because I need to take a moment. Pause the moment. Anyway, so let me collect myself instead of pausing, because then it's just gonna be a whole deal. Just collect myself. Okay. I hate looking at myself sometimes. I know. I've covered the lens before so that I couldn't see myself. Or not the lens, but the phone, so I couldn't see me. And the problem is, though, because then can you see me? Can you see me when you're watching the video? Because if I'm actually halfway out of the video, then it's like, well, that doesn't do any good. Right? Okay. Anyway, okay. So you see how you're going from things that you need to do to suddenly things that you don't need to do. There's, especially using that song, that's not really a great example because I don't know the reasons why. I can't remember the words of the song. I was going to do such and such. Well, I don't know the reason why they were going to originally do such and such, if it was actually a need to do it or not. Because if it wasn't, then that's where the mind is saying, look, that wasn't even a need to begin with, so we're just going to detach. Like at one point, I do remember one line, and it says, I was going to make love to you, but then I got high. I'm so sorry. I'm going to have to redo this video and pick another song. Anyway. Now, for as much as a lot of people would be like, well, that seems like a pretty good need, to appease the partner, to take care of their need and all that stuff. Just in the way it's worded, I was going to do this for you, automatically is not functional. Because it's being selfless. It's being about someone else, right? So, yes, weed is a functionalizer because it makes you more selfish, more focused. In fact, I've even noticed, it makes you kind of stare, like in a focused type way. I've noticed that with people. When I don't know if I'm allowed to say this on camera or not, but years ago when maybe I tried that kind of thing, not me, someone I know. I don't know what the legal ramifications are with these kind of things. So somebody I know did that. It affected them completely different than anybody else. It was more like being on acid. And there's a reason for that, people, by the way, because that person, that someone I know, is an emotionalist and a strong one, or at least on the high side of strong. Yeah. So it just increases the emotional side. Or I shouldn't say it increases the emotional side, but because without that strength of the functional side, with being that stronger on the emotional side, how do I put this? Because now it's almost like I'm saying it's more like an enhancement type thing. So then it's not a functionalizer, it's emotionalizer. Now, to some degree, it's more like an enhancement thing. Now, I'm wondering, hold on, now that I've said that, okay, I'm wondering if it's because of the amount used. See, most people don't use the same amount as that person that I know that could take maybe 1, 2, maybe 3, I don't know, hits off of something and be like gone to the world. In a whole nother world. Like I said, it was kind of like more like an acid thing for them. But anyway. And most people probably smoke more than 1 or 2 hits. So. Sorry. Anyway. Now that I've talked about that. Oh my gosh, my brain is saying there's so much more to say, but I'm like at a blank right now. But anyway, okay, so I'm getting a better idea of how these things are affecting people, and that's definitely helpful. Not only does it seem to still apply using my theory, but I'm starting to see other correlations as well, and that's helpful. And I think I'm just kind of rambling. Even Toby's looking at me. What? What? Oh, all right. I don't know. I'll just leave it alone. Oh, I know why my brain still wants me talking. I had a moment last night. We're at 12 minutes. Okay, yeah, that's okay. I'll try and be quick. I had a moment last night. Church, the reading. Sometimes you just really can apply those things to your life, let me tell you. You know how we always look for signs? It's funny because I was talking to someone last night, and then one of the things we talked about was, you know, how they're kind of, sometimes they're like looking for signs. And I'm like, well, yeah, because when we don't know what to do or what is expected of us, like our need to know what to expect, yeah, it's almost like we need something else. It's not, if not someone else, then something else. And since we can't always trust other people to give us our step 1, step 2, what our next move is, well, you can trust God, right? Or the universe, right? You've heard that too. The universe is giving me messages, giving me signs, right? So to some degree, we all do that. To some degree. We all use little moments that happen to us that are just, they're just out of the ordinary, little coincidences, little moments that make us go, oh, is that a sign? I'll take that as a sign to help us make a decision, because our need to know what to expect has got us kind of shaky, and we're not trusting our own self right now. What are you doing? You're going to get in front of the camera again? There's nothing for you in that bag. It's Toby. Oh, okay, I'm sorry I lifted you. Sorry. Look at you, what you're doing to my blanket. Do you see that? Yeah. Anyway. So I'm no different. I look for those signs too. I have my moments where I'm like, I'm just crazy. I am just crazy for thinking I've got this stuff like this and with this theory and everything. Trust me, all the time. It's helpful when, you know, people say things to me like, wow, I've never had it explained to me like that before. You make more sense. It's helpful, but it's fleeting, because it's still not for a fact, stupid as it sounds. I got tons of people agreeing with me on this, but it's still not for a fact, by authority type figure, functionally speaking, Oh yeah, that actually is something that makes sense. AKA someone of medical quality saying that. So, I'm still left with my I don't know. Anyway, like I said, yes, even I do the signs thing. And it's funny because I can't remember the specifics. I just remember it basically being about not being a boastful prophet preaching the gospel. So I'm not a prophet, and I'm definitely not preaching the gospel. But I still feel like I didn't come up with this on my own. There's no way. So something else had to help. Just saying. Was it a self-fulfilling prophecy? It's very possible. Who knows for sure. But that's possible because, I mean, the brain does do things for us. Anyway, but the thing that I think I really took from that was the whole not being boastful thing. And the reason I say that is because I try not to, be like, ooh, wave my flag. Because, not just because of, because sometimes we all do need to wave our flag and say, look, I did this, It's important. It's important to, like artists put their signature on their paintings, on their pieces of art that they've done, because that's theirs. And that's me. I did this. Okay, there's nothing wrong with me saying my name goes next to this title because I did this. But I think the boastful thing is actually because, and I've seen this. I'm not perfect. I'm definitely human, people. But there's been times where I've been, I guess you could say, a little on the boastful side. Because I get not just excited when someone says, oh, wow, you make sense in ways no one else has. I've been to so many therapists, things like that. And they've never been able to help me in a way that anyway, I'm being boastful again. I can't help it sometimes when people are saying those kind of things to you. And my brain is trying to stay on target with what they've been saying to me about what's going on with their mental health. But then they kind of throw my brain off with that praise and everything. And so then I sometimes become boastful, and then that throws my thinking off. So then I end up, the boastfulness, it's one thing to accept the praise. It's another thing to become boastful, which is, it's almost like it's okay to emotionalize, but that's becoming over-emotional. And doing that over-emotional then causes you to kind of get stuck a little bit over there, even though not really supposed to get stuck. But that makes sense, right? It makes sense, especially after all this time that I've been fighting with this whole situation. Now something's making sense. Someone's saying these things, and that makes sense. So now I'm going to be over boastful. See how that kind of gets stuck that way? Because you're not really supposed to be able to get stuck on the emotional side. It's fleeting. That's why we can let go of things. That's why we can roll with things, because that side holds on to nothing. It's like a cloud. It never holds on to anything. It never, it doesn't have, it's like it doesn't have substance to it. It doesn't have anything to it. It's just a la. And that's why a lot of times I say that la side. So, what was I saying? Oh yeah. So being over emotional like that because of being over boastful, now I'm losing, how do I put this? So when I talk to people, a lot of times I try to stay on target. Let my brain just kind of answer them, whether it's a functional answer or emotional answer, just kind of keep rolling with it and saying stuff. Anybody who's talked to me, especially online, knows exactly what I'm talking about, because tea leaves over talks. But but because of the over emotional boastfulness, now that focus isn't there. So now it's almost like my brain is now not working completely correctly, not doing the back and forth like it's supposed to. Now it's kind of stuck on the one side a little bit, right? It's still thinking. It doesn't stop. It's just like the pause. There's only one part of the brain that's paused, not the whole thing. So it's still working, but it's a little stuck over here. And now I have this need, now it becomes this need, to over-examine something, and to over-focus on something that person's saying, and get kind of stuck on that as being possibly a major issue for them, you know, cause for their mental health stuff. Turns out it's not. It turns out I've just gotten stuck on a little something that they said. And so anyway, one of the reasons I bring that up, one, is because I need to work on the boastfulness. So if I'm ever talking to you and you find me to be a little boastful, just remind me of this video. Yeah, you know that video where you talked about not being boastful? Yeah. Because that doesn't help you. Because then my brain's not thinking the way it needs to in order to be able to receive, I don't know, however it does it, the energies, the informations, the profiling, all the different things that it's doing back and forth, back and forth, back and forth as I'm listening to you. All those things that it's doing, it can't do correctly now. Instead of going back and forth, it's now going back and forth, getting stuck, back and forth, getting stuck. Right, yes. You see the imbalance? Yes. So, yeah, probably important to bring up. Anyway, we're done now. It's another one of those long videos. Sorry,